Hey guys, so thanks for joining. I know today's presentation is going to be great. If you have any questions throughout, please stop me and we are going to get started. So today's webinar, seminar, whatever you want to call it, Zoom at noon, is how to get realtors and real estate agents to send you business. It is very, very basic. However, I believe this is the foundation to getting you guys business. So I hope you guys enjoy. So today is January 12th, 2022. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeff Van Note, and I started in the mortgage business at age 20 in December 2007. What a time to have been alive. So let's get started. So the first order of importance here is, my belief is you need to look the part. You might have everything going against you, right? You may not know anything about mortgages. You may not know how to spell mortgage, and that's fine. However, if you look the part, you might be able to trick some people into thinking you can play the part. And this is the most crucial part I think about today's world, is we've gotten into such a relaxed attire look where people forget that you're still a professional. And while you may not want to wear a suit and tie every day, that's completely fine. But you need to know your audience. So dressing the part, dressing professional, I think it's a very crucial part. For those that know me or don't know me or want to follow me or are going to follow me, sports has always been a very large part of my life. And, you don't see the New England Patriots showing up to play football in jeans and a t-shirt, right? They have the uniform, they have their helmet. I believe that that's also critical in our business as well. Look professional, look clean, look neat, look like somebody that handles a lot of money. This way people will trust you. Now, you may not know everything, but again, you can control looking like you know everything. If you look like a million bucks, people are going to think you are $1 million, and they're automatically going to gravitate towards you because they know you're confident and they know that you look like a clean source to refer business to. The number one mistake people don't make is showing up. If you're out of sight, you're out of mind. So you need to constantly show up and be consistent on your routine of showing up to realtors, constantly showing up on Facebook, constantly showing up on Instagram, constantly showing up on LinkedIn. In today's day and age, you could actually show up digitally and not have to physically show up. Back when I started, the only option was, showing up physically. In today's world, it's actually gotten a little bit easier to be in front of people because all you have to do is post to your social media, and that counts showing up. Now, I'm not saying that equally you don't have to physically show up. I definitely recommend showing up, when you can. Obviously, COVID has thrown a little bit of a monkey wrench in this concept, but still post daily, multiple times a day, value, and also show up to real estate agents' offices, real estate agents' networking events, open houses, and everything else that you may deem necessary to meet real estate professionals. Still a play on words, know your money talk, right? I think a lot of people don't truly set out to become an expert, don't know guidelines, don't know credit score requirements, don't know loan programs, don't know employment requirements. So if you don't know your money talk, we'll call it, I don't feel like cursing today for some reason. If you don't know what you're talking about, you got a problem. However, if you know what you're talking about, you're going to come off as that true subject matter expert, which should be your goal when you're becoming a loan officer. Now, experienced realtors and real estate agents are going to test you to see if you know the business. That's why the last slide is so critical. People, when I first started, even though every deal was hard back in 2007 and 2008, people will always test you and give you a very challenging, tough, impossible deal to see if you're going to go the extra mile to try and help them get the deal closed. So you might have somebody that says, I have a 550 credit score. They really want to buy a house. Spend the extra time to figuring out how can you get that deal closed? Because if you get that deal closed and you show that you're the expert, it's a great way to earn business and not have to justify the value that you provide. Another critical mistake is a lot of people want to be the hero, and we all do. But what I've found to be the most valuable response is, if you don't know the answer, here is what I want you guys to say. And I'm going to send you guys all this presentation, but write this down. I want you guys to write this all down. It is the most confident answer you can give any human being. I'm not 100% sure of the answer, but let me double check and get right back to you. People will have more respect for you by saying this than actually giving them the correct answer, because you're giving them the validation that, your answer matters to you, it matters to them. So you're going to actually double check just to make sure you're giving the correct information as a response. The other thing is effective immediate response and communication. You need to get the right answer and or respond back to the people as quickly and accurately as possible. The need for speed is crucial. In this world, you have to be faster than Google. Everyone can go to Google and search, what are FHA guidelines on bankruptcy? Okay, that's great. But there are other factors that play into that. So you want to be as valuable as Google, have the same information as Google, but be more accurate and bring, people skills into your response. Everyone's going to Google the answer. That's just the world that we live in. I do it. If you're listening to this, you probably do it first. You're going to check Google, but Google is not the most accurate or reliable source, especially in today's lending day and age. So you need to be the Google for mortgages. Another great positioning concept is you need to pick up the pieces of the broken glass caused by other lenders. I can't tell you how many deals I did and still do that other lenders drop the ball on, don't pay the right attention to, miss a critical guideline, or just don't have the brain capacity or mental wherewithal to figure out how to get a deal done. I could tell you, I just took a deal down in Florida with a 553 credit score, and it was a tough deal, very tough deal. You have different debt to income ratio requirements. Not every secondary market investor wants those loans. We spent probably 4 or 5 hours trying to get a DU approved eligible, but we got it done. And the way we did that was we actually had the homeowner's insurance lowered, had them put a couple extra dollars as a down payment, and pay off an $11,000 installment loan to get it done. This is a $370 or so $1,000 deal, that I was able to save and close, relatively quickly, just from, being creative. And, needless to say, every realtor that you deal with, if you save a $370,000 deal where they stand to make, $7,000 to $20,000, depending on if they're on the list side, buy side, or both, they're going to send you business because you did something someone else couldn't do. And that's a type of deal that you want to market and use to stand out and get more business from. A lot of loan officers are lazy. They don't do their job right up front. They miss a bankruptcy, they miss child support, or they ignore a low credit score. You guys need to be there to solve that last minute deal issue to show your value and prove your worth. You need to be a true problem solver. If any of you know sports, I know you guys all probably know and heard of Tom Brady. Tom Brady sat in the bench for about 2 years, I believe, behind Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe got hurt on the right, and then Tom Brady came in, and the rest is history. So there's nothing wrong with taking your time to get everyone's business that you want to get, right? But what you also have to do is respect existing relationships. Most people have relationships already with other lenders and brokers and so on and so forth, but respect that. That's nothing wrong with that. What you want to do is you want to position yourself to be there when those current relationships falter and or don't deliver. Figure out what those relationships don't offer or aren't doing and double down that for yourself. Positioning gives you that advantage. So if you're targeting Nancy to send you business and she's a realtor and her, mortgage professional doesn't do reverse mortgages, maybe if your company does reverse mortgages, you tell Nancy that you do reverse mortgages. Maybe the lender that your realtor does business with does not do FHA 203K loans. Well, if your company does FHA 203K loans, go out there and tell them that. Another critical point is, a lot of lenders don't do FHA deals under 580 credit score. Go out there. If your company offers that, go out there and market that you do FHA mortgages with under a 580 credit score. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing from a business standpoint. Figure out what they're not doing, and then maybe you focus on becoming the expert in what your competition is not doing. This way you stand out. And even to this day, a lot of my business comes from other mortgage professionals that either don't want to do a deal or can't do a deal or don't have the resources to do a deal. So position yourself to get business from everybody. Another concept, give to get, but be genuine about it. sporting event tickets, treats, happy hours, all this stuff is a great way to form a relationship, but also, to find the commonality, find the common ground. And I put this picture on here because you have two people, one's a Yankee fan, one's a Red Sox fan, right? Enemies, but they also both love baseball. So depending on the market you're in, build something around what's going on in your market. But if you're in the mountains, go hiking together. If you're by a beach, maybe go to the beach and get some, co-branded beach towels together. All of these things are so critical in forming relationships and finding something to build off of, which then will eventually end up with an extra buck in your pocket. Bring value that no one else is bringing. I specifically geared today's presentation for everybody that's on. So there's 18 people on, and we'll get into the questions, after the presentation. But, I wrote this book, during the heat of the pandemic last year. I call it the Realtors Cookbook, Affordable Ingredients to Becoming Financially Healthy, 57 Ways to Generate Buyers, Sellers, and Renters on a Discounted Budget. I wrote the book. It's great. It's awesome. I wrote it to give to realtors because it helps them. And I also wrote it for other mortgage professionals, colleagues like yourself, that are having a tough time getting business. Buy a couple of the books, give them to the realtors you want to do business with, specifically new real estate agents and professionals, because they don't know which way to go. And now you have something to bond over. You could pick one of the ideas or all of the ideas, tackle them together, and form a really true relationship with them. But no one else is doing this. So this book, whether it's $14.99 on Amazon, or we do a bulk deal together where you pay like $6 or $7, whatever my cost is plus shipping, if you get one deal out of it, you're going to make a tremendous amount of return on investment. And these people are always going to remember you. So rather than you going and talking about mortgages and rates and all this stuff, you give them this book. I guarantee the person you give it to at some point over your career gives you a referral in return for it. So I make a 100% guarantee that if you are genuine and you are consistent and you are likable, which is very key, you will succeed and you will get business from the most unexpected sources at the most unexpected times. You never know who's following you. You never know who likes you. You never know who actually has a referral to give. The key is positioning, where if somebody likes you and they get the opportunity to refer a mortgage professional, position yourself to accept that referral. And it might be 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, and you might get that text from that realtor that never once even replied to any of your messages that says, hey, Joe, I have this client. Would you mind pre-approving them? Absolutely. Jump on that, get that done. So guys, you really got to expect the unexpected from the most unexpected sources. I put this on here just to be fun. Now, look, if you get a deal, or you get a client, or you get an opportunity, you can't fumble the ball. You can't drop the ball, because as quickly as good news spreads and good execution and good deals closing spread, equally, if not more, a bad reputation can kill you quickly. So if you do drop the ball, if you do have something that goes wrong, you need to make sure that you're covering your butt. So I'm just going to play this. It's kind of just a fun way to end. Mark Sanchez on the Jets, this is called the butt fumble. It was on Thanksgiving in front of everybody, in the nation back, about a decade ago. You don't want to be this guy, right? You don't want other people to celebrate off of, your mishaps. So, go out there, do business the right way, figure out how to form relationships. And again, getting realtors to send you business, it's not easy, but if you're consistent with your attempt and you don't give up too soon, I promise you the hard work will pay off. So that's today's presentation. I'll email that to everybody. I'm going to catch up in the chat real quick. So from Bill, do you ask the realtor to send you their hard to get deal done to begin the relationship that way? Yes. So Bill, absolutely. So I wouldn't say, hey, send me your toughest deals to get them done. How I would approach that is I would go out and say, hey, if you guys have any deals that other lenders are struggling to get closed, or if you have deals that aren't closing in 30 days, feel free to reach out. Let me give you a second opinion. You want to position yourself as the true professional and expert that has a lot of business out there, that you don't want to say, hey, just give me these deals, right? You want to make it look like, hey, I'm very valuable. This is my specialty. If these market needs are not being met, please let me know. And I think that's the most attractive approach coming from maintaining your power stance of where you're at. Karen said, do you have a script for cold calling? I'm having trouble getting that first appointment and not finding a lot of people in offices these days. Karen, I've never placed a cold call in my entire life. Every person I've ever done business with, I've personally met, shaken hands with, walked into an office cold. Unfortunately, I'm not, a good source for cold calling. It's something that if you wanted to work on that together, I'd be happy to maybe have a paid consultation to figure out what your strategy is. People don't want to meet today. So if you're cold calling, maybe what you want to do is spend more time on your social media marketing and branding. That way you're putting out, passive content to your existing social media following that could potentially get you inquiries for refinancing or people that need a mortgage to buy a home. I would, in this market, kill cold calling. I think cold calling is absolutely overdone. If you start a relationship by sending a pre-approved buyer, do you expect someone in return? Or do you send the next pre-approval to a new agent to increase your circle? Robert, that's a good question. I think that's more of a judgment call. If you have a pre-approved client, what I would do is I would refer that to a true expert in your market. So I'm just giving an example. Let's say you're in San Diego, California. Find the top 10, real estate agents in San Diego, California. Message them, hey, I have a client that's pre-approved. They're pre-approved up to a $600,000 home. Would you like this referral? And hopefully they'll say yes. If they do, then I would give the pre-approved gold, if you will, to the most experienced approved agent in your marketplace, because they're more likely to get their offer accepted, and then they're also more likely to send you other business. If you send a pre-approved client in this market to an agent that's brand new, I think the problem with that is they might not have the right experience in getting the client's offer accepted, which then can make you look like a bad referral source. And then the client might wind up leaving you if they go somewhere else, right? So I think you want to put a pre-approved buyer in an experienced agent's hands with the hopes of getting their business down the road. Now, it might not happen overnight, but you should go in with that expectation of, hey, this is a relationship I want to nurture and service and eventually be able to, get business in the future. Who else? I'm licensed in Florida, but live in Georgia. Do you have any tips on how to get realtors underneath my belt? Well, if you're licensed in Florida and live in Georgia, I would recommend you going to the Florida-Georgia game every year. I used to go back in the day. I have family in Jacksonville. I would market that. I would say I would do like a little marketing piece, for example, like do the Florida-Georgia football helmets together and say like, hey, on game day, I root for the Gators, right? But in real life, I do mortgages for both Florida and Georgia fans. So if you need a mortgage, contact me. I would have so much fun with that. Heck, I'd have a ton of fun with that. Fun fact, Greg, my uncle actually played for the Atlanta Falcons. So if you recognize the name, you'll see that's my uncle. But any tips on how to get realtors under your belt? Man, like anything, like, if that Florida Georgia concept, double down on that. Like, I don't know if you're a sports guy, but have fun with it. I know down south, like Florida football, Georgia football, SEC football, like that's like the Bible down there. So I would just have fun with going out. If you're brand new, figuring out how you can attract, realtors that are maybe realtors that went to Florida or went to Georgia, kind of focus on that. I would just try and figure out how to get people that you like or have something in common with to just start sending you business, but form relationships with them. I think that's the most critical part loan officers don't forget or don't remember is like people have relationships and not everyone has deals to refer. So you might spend 6 months or 12 months trying to form a relationship. Month 13, you might get that deal. But if you stop engaging realtors because they haven't given you a deal in a year, you're not going to get business and you might cost yourself business and all that effort you went goes to waste. So you got to keep plugging along. Jackie, you mentioned posting on social media earlier. Which platform do you see the most engagement on? Hey, you're welcome, Greg. Jackie, that's a great question. So I'm still toying around with all of the results. Back in 2017, I went fully digital, 100% digital. I had my past book of business and relationships. So I have a podcast called Deposit That. So it's on iTunes and Spotify. I also do video podcasts of the same episode at depositthatyoutube.com. I get very good engagement there, quality engagement. I don't do it to get thousands of views. I get it for the right views that then get inquiries for lending and other type of business. Instagram is great. I get the most amount of real referrals from Facebook. I find like people that are on Facebook are actually like, engaged and active and looking for, concepts and looking for feedback. You need to know also your audience, like depending on how old you are, what your prior career was, like, what year you got on Facebook, like all these things factor into that, and everyone's different. Like I know people make a ton of money off TikTok posting mortgage videos about, TikTok stuff. That's not me. That's not what I like to do. So I usually get the most amount of business from Instagram and Facebook, where then my Instagram and Facebook audience is then directed to like my LinkedIn profile or then directed to my YouTube channel, kind of give me validation and let people like see who I am, outside of our own interpersonal relationship. Promote yourself or promote the company as well. I've never promoted a company that I worked for. I was always, Jeff Van Note, Jeff the mortgage guy. That's what people just called me, obviously. I never had the confidence in promoting a company because companies come and go. And being around from 07 to 11 in that range, companies were popping up and going out of business almost as fast as, like going through a toll booth, right? I don't think people should promote their companies. I really don't. I think you should promote yourself as the, king or queen of the castle. And then what I would do is I would say, like, hey, here's my process. We do 10-day closings. We have in-house underwriting, or I have in-house underwriting. I would always go I, and develop your personal brand. Obviously, you have to put the company logo and licensing on, a lot of your marketing materials. But, here's what I've also learned is a lot of people hate companies. Like, I hate Wells Fargo. I hate Quicken Loans, right? If you work for these big nationally known companies that have bad reputations or someone had bad experience, it could cost you business. If you're Bill the mortgage guy, no one can say, yeah, Bill the mortgage guy, he sucks. I don't ever want to give Bill the mortgage guy business. If that's the truth, that's a reputation that you developed, but you never want to be Bill the mortgage guy at Quicken Loans. And people say, well, I'm not dealing with Bill the mortgage guy because Quicken Loans sucks. If that makes sense. So that's my personal advice and feedback. Obviously, companies that you work for are going to tell you different because they want to piggyback off of everything that you're doing. I'm more of a believer in exhausting all your resources and branding to your personal name and brand. Does anybody have any other questions? Anybody that asked questions, please email me. I emailed you guys this morning the link. Please email me your address to mail the physical book to, or your office address, whatever you feel comfortable doing. And I'm happy to get that out to you. There are a lot of people on here that have not asked questions. Does anybody want to ask a question on video? Feel free to, show your video, and I'm happy to get that answered. What is the best? So Scott, what is the best place to get content? Karen, real quick. Yes, I do this every week, noon Wednesdays, noon Eastern time Wednesdays. So I hope you can join every week. I can also send you the past episodes if you missed those. Happy to send those to you as well. Just email me a reminder. Scott, where's the best place to get content? The best place to get content is from your daily life. I want everyone to go to my Instagram. It's at Jeff Van Note SR Senior. Please, Nicole, it is recorded. Sorry, I have ADD. I bounce back and forth. You need to make the content based on your work, right? So if you got 10 calls today and no one pre-approved, post. I got 10 calls today. Not one of them is pre-approved. Does anybody want to actually try and get approval that could potentially qualify for a mortgage? Share what goes on in your daily life in a humorous way where that's your content. The more you do, the more content you'll have. I never think about making content like, oh, I really need to post today. I might get a text message from a client like, can you believe this bank just denied my loan? They were giving me a 5% rate and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, consider it done. Call me. And I'll obviously clip their name out and screenshot that and post it like, hey, do you want immediate, fast results? Don't forget, I'm here for when you need me. So the more business you do, the more free content you'll have. And there's enough free apps today with technology that you could clip, Photoshop, paste, make a little video, and post that to your social media for free and do it. So I think that's what I would do. I'm gonna catch up. I'm so sorry, everybody. Bill, yeah, Uncle Jeff, the old Falcon, he was a beast, actually. So that's who I dedicated my book to. That's why it's called 57 Ways So when you get the book in the mail, you'll see that that's actually dedicated to my uncle. Jan, do you have a service that you use? No, so I don't ever give anybody my social media. I handle every piece of content. I usually create all my marketing, but and then I send it to my graphic designer who I have on payroll. I do it all myself. I don't believe in hiring social media companies. I believe that's like you having a thought and then having someone else share your thought. I think you need to be raw, real, and organic. Now, look, if you're a billion-dollar company, I understand having other people do stuff for you. I think you need to post your content, engage in your social media, and be the catalyst of that. That's my own personal opinion. Brandon Green, what's up, Brandon? What is the best way to add value to realtors when reaching out for business? I'm going to answer that indirectly. Do not come off as desperate, right? I'm going to share you guys a funny story, and this is the truth. On my 3-year-old son, who's Jeff Van Note Jr. Hopefully, you guys will see pictures of him. He's all over my world, my social media, digital world as well. So I would have a deal, like one deal going on. This is like, call it July of 2008, right? I'm 21 years old, and I would run into real estate offices, and they were dead. They were empty. No deals were going on. Short sales maybe. And I would go and be like, "Hey, what's going on? Everything good? Oh yeah. Hey, how's business for you? Oh, it's great. It's awesome." And people are like, "Oh, really?" Every mortgage person that comes in here is struggling. They have no deals. They have no money. I'm like, "No, my business is booming." Why? Because I never had a deal before, right? So I would be like, "Yeah, everything's great. My business is on the up and up," and it was. One deal was better than no deals. Then if 1 month I had 3 deals, oh my God, this is awesome. I got 3 deals going on, and I got $1 million worth of deals, right? So you got to look at the glass half full. But Brand, to answer your question, what's the best way to add value? It's hard to add value without knowing what they're needing or lacking. Like the value you add to me is different than the value you could add to Al or Dr. Jan Simpson, right? Or Scott or Leslie. You need to find out the person you're targeting, see what they're lacking. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's just you guys grabbing coffee and brainstorming. Maybe it's they have 50 listings and they can't get enough mortgage people to host their open houses or do open house flyers or pre-approve their buyers or follow up with their buyers. So figure out what that person you want to do business with is lacking and solve that for them. If somebody says, "Hey, I do business in this town and I don't have an office in this town, but I do a lot of business," offer that person to use your office or use your conference room or use your copy or tell them to just stop in to have your virtual office. So in that way, you're helping them out, right? You're giving value to what they need. You're not just jamming something that they don't need down their throat, if that answers your question. Al, what was the hardest lesson you learned starting out? Drake has a song called "There's No Friends in the Industry," and I play that often. I'm actually going to play that for you guys right now. So if you guys never heard that song, I think that's the most tough lesson that I've ever gone through early on. I could tell you, like, I personally did a deal for a realtor. It was a mess. This is like 2009. I wound up getting him an FHA 203K loan to convert a 5-unit property to a 4-unit property. He was making $7,000 per month. He lived in 1 unit, rented the other 3 units out, and was making $7,000 a month. One of the craziest deals I've ever done. This was 14 years ago at this point. And he wound up sending mortgage business to another mortgage person because they were paying him kickbacks. I definitely threatened his life because I was a little bit more aggressive, back in the day, back recently. But I tell you that because I broke my back to get this deal done. I put a minimum $7,000 a month in his pocket by getting a deal done that no one else could do. And he was worried about the $2,000 or $3,000 somebody was going to pay him in a kickback, right? So like the way I do math is if I can make you $84,000 a year on a deal no one else could do, in 10 years, you're making 840 grand. Like, until you make me 840 grand, we're not even, And that was the hardest lesson now is like, I genuinely care about people. I've broke my back for people and that loyalty wasn't reciprocated. So it's a hard pill to swallow. But for every one story like that, I have 10 stories of people that, are loyal, always come back and really value and respect our relationship. So I think from a lesson standpoint, spend your time and energy on people that you think and prove themselves to be loyal and respect you not only as a professional but as a person. Yes, Greg, at Jeff Van Note Senior on Instagram. That is correct. At Jeff Van Note Senior on Instagram. You can check out the podcast as well. Deposit that YouTube. I'm coming out with a 5-part fix and flip series. Not to really get in everybody's head, but another great way to get business is by doing commercial financing, non-QM financing, fix and flip financing, bridge money, hard money, all that stuff is a great way to get realtors to give you business, because there's a lot of noise out there in the market, but very few residential mortgage professionals do commercial, hard money, private, and everything else. I'm just going to drop this other lending platform that it's mine on this site. It's called riverafinancing.com to show you how I kind of go out there and brand every type of loan from an education standpoint, but it's also my direct lending arm that I have. We have about $1.5 million out of our own capital that we do for hard money, fix and flip, and bridge money. And it's a great way to get relationships with realtors to then get other business from it. Does anybody have any other questions? I know some people, I don't think I was asked 18 questions. So if everyone can start asking more questions, I'm here as long as you guys need me to be. I really appreciate the questions so far. I think they were great. They were awesome. They were really, really, really engaging. For those of you that didn't ask questions, can you guys either take yourself off mute, ask a question, or drop a question inside the message? If everyone's worried about rates, definitely follow me on Facebook. If you don't, I post rate updates. I'm pretty spot on. I called the top of the 10-year treasury at 1.808 the other day, and we're down to 1.72 on the US 10-year treasury. I'll put a little rate tip in here. Google US 10-year treasury, pull up CNBC link, track that. Good content is I screenshot the 10-year treasury every day. I post it to all my platforms. 99% of people don't even know what the 10-year treasury is. They act like it's a 30-year fixed mortgage rate. It's not, but I give education based around that. No one else does it. And that's a good way to become an expert, is even if you just look at my content and take the content that you like, I don't care if you just literally steal it and post it to yours, that's where your content can also come from. Nothing wrong with stealing other people's content. If you feel like giving props, give props, but you want to be the expert yourself. Never make someone else out to be the expert when you're trying to become the expert. Dr. Jan Simpson, you know I have to call you out. This is our 3rd or 4th week doing this. I need you to take yourself off mute and give me some type of question. I know you got some good questions to ask.
Well, I already asked you about the social media question. So I guess like everybody's in the same boat here, is because we really are trying to figure out the magic formula to get into realtors. And it just dawned on me, because I hate making phone calls, that if I hire a virtual assistant to call realtors to book them in my calendar for a Zoom consultation, that might be a way to go. And once you get the realtor to agree to that meeting, you need to offer them something of value. So I think I've got part of the equation down. I'm just trying to figure out, why I'm the most wonderful LO out there in the world, or give them something of value.
So here's what I'll say. So there's multiple avenues that we can take down that route. What I think would be like the low hanging fruit is, do you know why most people become, okay, let me rephrase this. Do you know why I think most people become real estate agents or realtors?
Because they think they're going to make a lot of money?
That's a great answer, and that might be tied for number 1, depending on who you speak to. I think it's because they want to buy their own home, had a bad experience dealing with a realtor, and or wants to invest in real estate, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe what you do is you say, hey, Joe Blow realtor, I want to help you start building your own real estate portfolio. I know you're a realtor. I know you're an independent contractor. I know you're 1099. Why don't we set up a time to grab coffee where I can explain to you how to buy a multifamily home for your first purchase with an FHA loan, and then how you buy your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th property. Like, don't you want to build your own real estate portfolio? I could help you navigate what that path looks like.
Okay, and actually, I do have another question. With your private financing company, will you be able to lend in all 50 states, or are you state specific to where you live?
I do lend in all 50 states. That's a great question. My own capital that we manage, I try and keep it very much so here within my easily drivable demographic, only because I know the market and it's our own capital. But as far as like if you have a deal, a hard money deal, a non-QM deal, an alternate financing deal, if one of your clients or friends or family members wants to buy a $10 million warehouse, I do all of those deals nationally. And if anything, I could just kind of give you the right information, but I think for new loan officers right now, I wouldn't focus on going out there and telling people about residential mortgages because everybody does that right now. I think, right? Like on this call alone, there's like whatever 18, 20 people, however many people. Like technically we're all each other's competition, if you will, right? And like why play in a saturated sandbox? Still offer those services, but offer the services publicly that others aren't offering to then get the fish on the hook, and then you do everything for them. And I'll give you a perfect example. Client called me up, followed me on Facebook, saw one of my posts on a multifamily. I'm financing 80% of his 6-unit multifamily purchase as an investment. And he just fired his current mortgage person who does residential mortgages to give me his residential deals because his residential mortgage person could not do the 6-unit. And he felt like, why am I going to go to multiple people? I want to go to one source, right? In today's world, people want to go to one source. That's why Amazon is valued at what's valued at. So you need to become the Amazon of mortgage lending and offer every type of mortgage financing product.
How do we find that person to work with?
Very good question. It's not easy. If I was to give that advice, it'd be on a macro level. That's why I'm very big on like one-on-one. I think you need to first figure out what your market is like, what the demographic of your market is like, what the majority of real estate assets are in your market. Is it a condo market? Is it a one-family market? Is it a multifamily market? Are you on a farm? All these things obviously factor in, but then figure out like who is your target audience? Like who are you speaking to? Like, do you want that first time home buyer? Do you want that baby boomer that's sitting on a house with no mortgage on it that may want to cash out, refinance to put money with a financial advisor or do a reverse mortgage, right? These are all like very critical details that I get into on the one-on-one side of what I do, because every single person's different. Everyone's goals are different. And I think that it needs to be specific to realization on what's going on in the market. Like right now with rates rising, up from, I'm going to use an example, from 3% to 3.75%, it knocks out 70 to 80% of people that would normally rate in term refinance, right? So your strategy for the time being would be to speak to, market to the people that may want to cash out refinance, to debt consolidate, to buy another property, to renovate their home. Don't go out there and say, let's refinance, because people think refinance and think lower payment. They don't know that refinance means cash out, refinance, and everything else. Remember, they're not industry professionals. So you need to almost speak to and market to your audience in a way that they understand. Like, hey, do you own a home and have credit card debt? Call me to see if we can consolidate all your debt to lower your monthly household bills, right? That's like one little strategy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Now we just have to go find those people.
Yeah, I think, and again, like I'm a big believer, like you can manifest and create all that stuff. You got to figure out again, like who's your audience, and then you create the plan to attack the audience. Um, I see, Brian. What brought about your decision to not calling route? Brian, with a face like this, I don't think cold. I'm just kidding. I don't think cold calling does me justice. I'm a people person, and I like movement and action. So I love running around, getting in my car, meeting different people, shaking hands, going to their turf, showing up, donuts, coffee, whatever. I like shaking hands and forming relationships, and I don't think cold calling does that. Or if it does, it's harder. I don't want to deal with someone that doesn't want to meet me or shake hands or form a relationship with me. And I don't care if your deal's $100,000 or $100 million. If we're not going to form a relationship and you're looking for a transaction, I'm not your guy. I tell people that flat out. Again, a lot of people are good at cold calling. A lot of people look at a numbers game of sitting behind the desk and waiting for the phone to ring. That's not me. I believe in going out and getting it rather than spending money marketing, buying leads, because you can't control what comes in off of that. And there's no personal accountability behind that. So by meeting people in person, right, shaking hands, they have something to solidify and basically piggyback off of. Most of my deals, a lot of my deals that come from mortgage people are cold callers that don't know the business, can't figure out the deal. Client is kind of all over the place, doesn't listen, and they give them to me because they don't want to put the work in. And in 5 seconds, I have a solution for them. So, keep that in mind. Like by going out there and meeting people, you're also forming relationships, which if you work for 2 or 3 years straight doing that, it'll be an annuity for the rest of your life. Cold calling, every single deal is going to keep building transactional. You might make a ton of money on it, but 10 years from now, let's say no one has the internet or every single phone line goes down in America, are people going to, keep calling? They can't. So I'm big on, forming a foundation of relationships and then figuring out alternate business models from there. That's my personal opinion. John Taylor, best content you have found to post on social media? I make it and I create it. Again, if you go to my Instagram, if you scroll up, you go to my Instagram, go to my podcast, I create all my own content with what I think is valuable to the market. Let's just say, for example, clients are currently getting, losing out on offers, and they've been trying to buy a house for a year or 2 years and they can't get their offer accepted. Maybe you make a post like, are you tired of not getting your offer accepted? Maybe your strategy isn't working. Let's have a call to discuss an alternate strategy with the realtor to get your offer accepted. Maybe you switch it from an FHA loan to a conventional loan. Maybe you market interest rates on a daily basis. Maybe you host your own, Zoom at noon with your own realtor in your own market on a different day. Because obviously I want you guys on this call so you guys can learn and hear it directly from me. You have to have fun with it. Like, have fun with your content. Don't be ashamed to post your content. Just you got to do what fits you and your personality and your brand, right? Like if you have a beard, you be like the bearded mortgage guy, and like every day you post like how good your beard looks, something like that. I'm just being silly, obviously, but make your social media content correlate with your personality. Don't post what everyone else is posting. That's how you eventually begin to stand out and create a name for yourself outside of, John Taylor, the mortgage person. Brian, you got a likable face? What does your face look like? Show everybody what your face is if you get a chance. All right. So questions have obviously slowed down. Does anybody have any? Hey, Mike Young, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Questions?
I just came on late. Sorry about that.
Hey, no worries. I'll send you the recording and the webinar presentation on PowerPoint as well. Not a problem.
I appreciate it. And I'll hop on your next one as well. I'm a new loan officer and having a hard time getting traction. I've been on social media. I've gone to holiday events and fundraising events and tried to shake hands and kiss babies, and I'm just not getting any traction. So, and I'm trying to look for every avenue for ideas to get some responses from realtors. And yes, I'm calling them. As I said, I've met them at fundraising events. I went to a holiday party, met a whole bunch of people. But I'm pushing against a big boulder and I can't get the thing to move.
So what I'm gonna do, complimentary to you, I'm gonna show everyone what this is free of charge. I'm gonna show everyone what my one-on-one calls look like, whether it's a one-on-one intro call, strategy call, whatever, right? So I'm gonna ask some questions and everyone else can feel free to piggyback off this. You guys can answer your questions. I can't give everyone the same response or answer. But Mike, what market are you in? What state are you in?
I'm in San Diego, California.
I brought up San Diego earlier. Did you hear me?
No, like I said, I didn't get on. I was taking all the kids to school and got back.
You see, I manifested you. I said, look, if you're a loan officer in San Diego, California, here's what you do. But okay, so my first thing is, okay, San Diego, California, how long have you been a loan officer for?
Since October.
Oh, brand new.
Brand spanking new.
What was your prior career?
I was in hospitality. I was a vice president of restaurants and missing everything in my family. So missing holidays, missing birthdays, missing
long hours. Events.
Yeah, long hours, and COVID was kind of a blessing where I had to step back and say, I've missed 14 years of my son's life and I can't do it anymore. So I need to find something where I can take relationships and the hospitality mentality and apply it to a different industry. And I thought this would be a perfect fit. But in the 3 months that I've been doing it, I've had a ton of conversations. I just can't seem to break through and get any relationships going.
How many kids
So
do you have?
I have two kids. I have a 14 and 11-year-old.
Boy, girl?
14-year-old boy, 11-year-old girl.
Okay, so married or single? What?
I'm married.
So couple things outside the box thinking, right? Um, First thing I would want you to do is create your own brand, right? I'm just giving an example. Mike Young, the mortgage guy, right?
Right.
Having your own logo brand. And what I want you to do is potentially think about getting a co-branded folder with a realtor that's local to your market, your school district, and
Okay.
provide the kids with free folders, right? With all your
Okay.
branding on it. That's number one. Number two, you can see I'm holding this right here. This is from 2016. I get pens. It says the Van Note Mortgage Team. Get pens, donate them to the schools. Why? You're in the schools. Your kids are a relative. The parents are of your age, most likely, right? I'm
Mhm.
assuming a lot of them own their homes. So
Right.
you need to now recreate this whole brand image. Oh, Mike, I didn't know you did mortgages, and get them to reach out, talk to you, become formal with them about mortgages, right? They know you, probably a great guy. You probably have tons of friends. Everyone knows your kids, right? The kids have
Right.
friends, but you now need to be, hey, I'm doing mortgages now. If you guys need anything, I'm here for you. But you don't want to go in with the knockout approach. You want to go in with the soft approach. Wow, Mike, that was so nice. Yeah, I saw your name. I didn't know you do mortgages. Hey, me and Sally were thinking about buying a new house, or we want to refinance, right?
Yeah.
That's the best way to I call it backdooring your way into households. That's number one. Number two is you got to look at the hospitality world as like your foundational training to be successful in what this is now. If you could deal with pissed off people in the hospitality space, dealing with mortgage borrowers is going to be like a walk in the park for you, right?
Yeah. That's why I thought it'd be an easy, or not an easy, but a reasonable, logical transition.
That's what I think. And then also, again, what I would personally consider is, NAREP, National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, is based out of San Diego. You may know someone that works there. You may just want to show up there one day, shake hands, drop things off, and become an affiliate member of them and attend every single one of their events.
Okay.
That's like very basic. Obviously, I'm gonna take a couple minutes. Obviously, other people have questions and stuff, but that's what I would think. Like the best starting point you could do, and the things that I just went over might cost you a couple bucks. Nothing that's going to break the bank, but
Right.
one deal that comes in off of it puts you in the surplus. What you want now is to get the action and the inquiries, and rebrand yourself, retrain people to think I can't go anywhere else other than Mike to get my
Right.
mortgage.
Right. Yeah. That's the other challenge. There's a lot of mortgage officers in the community I live in. Not a lot, but there's some that are already established, and
You know what they are though? They're fat and lazy.
that's another reason I came into it, because I know one of them very well, and the
He's fat
response
and lazy.
the response usually on Friday is, we'll deal with them on Monday, or let's just extend the lock and not deal with it right now. And a
Bingo.
lot of bad comments about their clients, where I'm coming into it saying, well, they're the ones paying for your mortgage, so what the hell are you doing bad mouthing them? So
Bingo.
I'm gonna stay positive and keep a good attitude toward it. It's just it's stressful, and it's I'm anxiety ridden, and
I would
that's
say
the
realistically, and this is me saying it, and I don't know what company you work for. I'm not sure what they do to support you, and you probably get no support or guidance or middle level management. It's just what the world and industry is, and that's part of the reason why I think like these calls are going to be so successful. And every week we're growing on here, and I don't care whether there's one person or 100 people on here. Like I'm going to do what I do, right?
yeah.
For free. I don't care if you guys buy my book. This is literally, I'm tired of people that have potential failing early in this business because they're lacking everything else, right? Like you have two kids, you have college coming up, you're
Yeah.
going to fall by the wayside. Next thing you know, you quit mortgages and now you're lost for the next decade. I don't want that to
Right.
happen. It's just not what I've seen to happen since I'm 20 years old. I'm tired of it. So that's why I do this. That's truly why I do this, right?
Got it.
I think that you got to give it a year, and again, I don't know if your company offers like draws or advances You got to have some money coming in, obviously. I don't know what your personal financial situation looks like, but I think that, plan on it being a year. If you look at, I made a post inside the group, I think last week, I purposely made it for this group, look back at it. You can show my growth like year over year. Year one, I closed like $3 or $4 million of business, right? Year
Right.
two, in 6 months, I closed like 12 to $18 million of business. Year three, after taking 6 months off, because I almost had a breakdown for how crazy this world is, I closed 18 million. And then in year four, which is my first time full doing this, like coming off the prior full year, at age 24, I closed $31 million in business from 83 different referral sources, right? Now, I'm not saying every trajectory is that. You probably have earlier success than I had because the market's hotter right now. 2008 was like literally, a ghost town for lending in real estate, right? So
Right.
that should give you more hope and inspiration. We're like, set a realistic goal for this year of, hey, I want to close, $5 million in loans and make $60,000 or whatever that number looks like, right? But you have to give yourself a full year to do that. And I would chalk the last 3 months up as a loss, right? I mean, I don't know what type of numbers you've done. I would say you set a game plan today, and then you break your goals out weekly, which turn to monthly, which turn to quarterly, which turn to semi-annually, and turn to annually, right? So if I was to start out day one with you, I would say, Mike, your number one goal is to add 10 new people to your database every single day. You go to Dunkin' Donuts to get a coffee. Hey, Jill, do you own a home, by the way? I do mortgages. Do you mind if I just get your information so I can send you up some updates? Okay. 10 people a day, 50
Okay.
people a week, 200 people a month, right? And you just start adding people to your database. I don't even care if you email them or text them or whatever. Add them to your database so mentally you're seeing results. Your number isn't to submit loans. Your number isn't to make a paycheck. Your goal where you can only see it grow is by adding people to your database. So that's a win. And then eventually, the more people you add to your database, you have to get business out of it. Like it can't not happen. You know what I'm coming from? But
Yeah,
if you go and say, shit, I worked 10 hours today, I didn't get one lead. You come home, your wife's like, where's the paycheck? I didn't get any deals. Now you're thinking about like leaving, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you reverse the course and give yourself, your database can't shrink because you control it. So even if you wake up today, you have 20 people in your database, and tomorrow you still have 20, you didn't go down to 18,
Right.
So your goal every day should be adding more people to your database, becoming more socializing and sociable with content and context. And then the next thing you know, you have 2-3 deals come in every month. And that's my approach that I would give you. You got to get the easiest little wins out there. Feel free to join all of our calls, follow all my content and posts, piggyback off of that, copy and paste what I post, share my stuff. And before you know it, people will start associating mortgages and real estate with you, which then result directly in business.
Okay. Are there
That's
any?
my personal advice to you.
I've joined Facebook groups, new home buyers and San Diego Realtors and San Diego home buyers. Are there any? Do you have any tips on marketable groups or anything unusual or anything that's outside of the
what's
realm?
Your passion? What are your passions and interests?
Love coaching my son's baseball. My daughter's
Sponsor your son's baseball team.
What's that?
Sponsor your son's baseball team.
That's what I'm going to do.
Baseballs with your company logo or your face or your phone number and give them out to the parents.
Okay.
If you love coaching your son's baseball team, those parents know that Mike's a great, hopefully, I hope you're a good coach. Mike's a great coach. Mike dedicates his time and commitment. That would be like easy cherry picking. And then maybe you get like a sign in the outfield, right? Or, hey, for every home run hit, I'll donate $100 to the local charity or whatever it is, whatever it is. Like you have to have fun with that. But I would 100% focus on what your passion is and go to like groups, dads in coaching. Like every single father that's coached their child and mother that's coached their child probably has passion and love, not only for the game, but for the betterment of children, right? And right now, kids more than ever need parents like you that have a passion in it. Well, I'm sure there's 100,000 other fathers like you across the country that not only coach their kids, but have a mortgage.
Yeah.
You go grab I don't know if you drink. I don't drink, but hey, Joe, I know you're coaching the 11-year-olds. Let's go grab a beer and talk about, making this program more competitive. Whatever it is, have fun with it. Though. You have to have fun with it. Incorporate your passion and what you love to do. Spending more time with your kids. even do a video with you and your son talking about buying a home and getting a mortgage.
Okay.
It'll go
All right,
viral.
that's a good idea.
You know, hey, you're
Yeah,
14, kid, time to start paying rent, and maybe here's how you buy a mortgage when you're 20 years old, and have like a little
Yeah.
fun time doing it with your son.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. Since I was in restaurants, I was never huge on social media. So I came over here and here I've got a 14-year-old saying, Daddy, how come you're not on Instagram? You do know that's the #1 social media platform. I went, my God, my son just turned into a young man in front of my eyes. And he knows more about it than I do.
Me personally, like, so my son's 3, and he's definitely a ball breaker, totally breaks balls, and he would probably give me good insight, right? And he knows what he's doing. But for your son, being that he's 14, he's a man, right? And he's entering into a professional world. I
Yeah.
would have him attached to my hip, hear your phone calls, teach him how to run credit, teach him how to issue pre-approvals, right? Maybe you say, son, look, I need you to make a social media post. Go to Jeff's account, see some content you like. I need you to make a social media post, and I'll throw you $5 a post, whatever it is, right? You're paying him anyway, right? You're giving him an allowance anyway.
Right.
Make him earn it and make him learn the business. Heck, your son might even be your marketing department.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Why hire somebody when you have your son? You're paying anyway. Make him work for his food.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's going to be a cost involved, and there's
Great.
always
So you'll see what you can tell the content that I do myself and what I pay for. I do 95% of my stuff free. I'll tell you the apps if you want to write down these apps.
Yeah.
So I use Vont, VONT, to make
and
like
T as in Tom.
VONT, Vermont, Oscar, Nancy, Thomas, Vont,
Okay.
VONT. So like take a video and you can like crop and like write words on it. I use Vont and I use Fonto, basically photo with an N before T. And most of my content is done literally on those 2 free apps.
Okay.
You take a picture. Hey, this brand new house just got listed. Put 3.5. You're writing on the photo. Put 3.5% down equals $18,000 down payment, and just post that.
Okay.
All you're doing is creating content that's relative. Most people don't know what the dollar amount is. If you're buying a $500,000 house, they don't know what 3.5% down payment means. They think that's the interest rate. So
Yeah.
you put 3.5% down equals $17,500.
Okay.
That's it. That's like soft education into your market.
Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. I wish you the best luck. Be sure to send me your email, your mailing address to it, so I can send you out a book so you can take a look at it.
Sweet. Throw it on the chat.
Email me if you can. Yeah. I'll put my
Okay.
personal email in for anyone that doesn't have it. It's just jeff@jeffvannote.com. Also, I do a lot of different stuff technology-wise and online, because I kept changing banks and kept changing emails. And I'm like, I got millions of people that are emailing me, and then like they get a bounce back. So my email is literally jeff@jeffvannote.com. I highly recommend everyone on here, buyyourname.com, johntaylor.com, darlenejankowiak.com, Al, whatever your last name is.com, mikeyoung.com. You need to own your domain. That's like owning your home and not actually owning your home. So highly recommend buy yourself your own domain. Highly recommend doing that. Even if you just have it forwarded to like your LinkedIn, you could set all that stuff up. So hopefully that answers your question, Mike. Again, I wish you the best of luck. Feel free to email me if you have any additional questions on that. But I think I gave you enough tips where you should see an immediate result in not only your morale, but in your bottom line soon.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is the morale, staying positive when days go by or weeks go by. And I refuse to quit. The good thing is I've got kids and a family. So, every time I come home, every time I look up, I've got my reason right there in front of me to keep going. So,
but it's not always easy when you see the bank account going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, luckily I've got a very supportive wife, and it'll be good.
Ask her if she wants to refinance. I'm big, like, listen, call every one of your family members up, have them send you the mortgage statement and just analyze it. That's the best experience that you can get. Find people that trust and like you, that want to support you in your career and your livelihood. And then just like, look, worst case scenario, who cares? You could just at least get yourself hands-on experience with like a real life scenario.
Okay, sweet.
Personal advice.
Appreciate all this.
You're welcome, Mike. John Taylor, you touched on face-to-face with realtors. Would you recommend walking into their office? So, John, I would throw on your best outfit, comb your hair, shave, smile, brush your teeth, Walk into every single real estate office within 30 miles of where you live. Walk in, say hello, shake hands, introduce yourself. You have business cards, pass out business cards, follow everyone on social media, have them follow you on social media. That's what I would do. That's what I did every single day for definitely the first 18 months of my career. Got in my car in the Bronx, in New York. I had a Garmin navigation system. I would search for real estate offices, print out the list on MapQuest, and go to every single office every single day, 18 months straight. And it took, 18 months to really formulate the results from that. Karen, how did you get past the gatekeeper? So the goal is not getting past the gatekeeper. The goal is schmoozing the gatekeeper. You want that gatekeeper to be your best friend. You want that gatekeeper to be your biggest fan. You want that gatekeeper to be well fed, and you want that gatekeeper, to open up the gate, right? So take the gatekeeper out to lunch, bring them gifts, presents, give them a massage, rub their feet, do whatever you have to do to make sure that gatekeeper doesn't, keep that locked. And that was my number one skill set. The gatekeeper runs the office usually, so you need that gatekeeper. If that gatekeeper is a tough cookie, gotta find creative ways around it. Still show up and make it a game how long it takes for them to actually kick you out. And I would do that. I think that's your best bet is try getting them to be your friend, show them that you care, help them out. They're probably underpaid, overworked, underappreciated, friend them, make them be your friend. And that would be my goal. Hey, I want to make this miserable gatekeeper my friend. And that's what I did. And before you know it, the gatekeeper is like putting their head down as you walk past, the gate that they opened for you. So that's what I would focus on. How do you follow up with them after you meet them, and how often do you do it without being pushy? So, for an example, what I would do when I first started is I would go into a real estate office, collect everyone's business card, talk to them, bullshit with them, do what I have to do, get in my car, and from my car, sitting in front of their office, I would automatically email them. Hey, Darlene, it was great meeting you. Love talking about the National Football League. Here's my contact information. Just let me know you got this email. Then they reply, Jeff, so great meeting you. Talk to you soon. Now you have that level of communication. Now you have their contact information. That's what I would do. And I would do that every single day. And let's say you had, I'm gonna make it easy. Let's say you had 10 real estate offices, right? So you have on Monday, you would go to office 1 through 10, right? So let's say you start at noon and you end at 5. Then the next day on Tuesday, I would start with office 2, go through 10, and then end with 1. So every day I would change what office I went to first because people come in at different times. There's different, people in and out. But if you go to the same office at the same time every day, you're missing the other waves of people coming in. So I would change up sporadically. And then by time day 10 came, I would start with office 10 and then go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're not being pushy. You're showing that you're consistent and you're providing a service. And now you're getting in front of them. So it would come to a point where then maybe take a week off. By the time you come back, the gatekeeper would be like, Darlene, we haven't seen you in a week. Where you been? It's like, oh, well, you haven't been sending me any deals. So I figured I'd stop coming, but I just wanted to come and see if you had any deals and make a joke about it. Because now that softens the blow to them not sending you any deals. Now they'd be more inclined. Oh, by the way, Jim's in the back. I think he's just had a deal that fell apart. That's what I would recommend doing if I were you. And this is all stuff that I did and do if I choose to. Today's day and age, I can't even leave my home office because my phone doesn't stop ringing, which I'm fortunate. But for new people, the one thing you have is time. You have to make sure that when you're working most efficiently and you don't give up on what you're doing too soon. Because again, you never know where those residual referrals are going to come from. Your main competition right now that are doing business, as I said earlier, this is not a negative knock on anybody, have become fat, rich, and lazy. Your competition is now fat, rich, and lazy, right? Capitalize on that and go above and beyond. Answer your calls nights and weekends, provide that service, and you'll be able to slowly extract business from people who are the top in your area because you're providing a service that the fat, rich, and lazy are not providing anymore. Does anybody else? That was a great question, by the way. all these questions. I'm so happy that this turned out the way it did today. These questions are phenomenal. I know some people probably got to run, but if anybody has any other further questions before we close this up, I'd greatly appreciate it. Again, I'll email everybody the slide. I'll email everyone this recording. You all better email me, your addresses so I can get you that. Thank you. I'll see you today. I love you. Hey, Jackie, I appreciate it. And again, everyone's got a purpose in life. I want to reiterate, I don't charge you guys for this because there's no reason to. I want to make sure you guys can succeed. So you guys succeeding or not quitting and leaving your potential on the table, that's the most rewarding feeling for me, at least. Not everything's always about money. So I appreciate you showing up today. Congratulations to you. This is just something that will put you ahead of your competition. When you follow up with the realtors through email, what do you say? I make it about that specific conversation. Like I said, so if you need, if you have a realtor you talk to about tacos, hey, Joe, when are we grabbing tacos? Or hey, Joe, new taco spot just opened up. I make my follow-up about our interpersonal relationship forming. I'm not like, hey, rates are great today. That's bullshit. That's dog shit. You got to make it about the person. Hey, Joe, I know you said you were going to be in, New Jersey tomorrow. When you're back, let me know. Let's grab lunch. Or, hey, I know you said you were going on vacation and coming back on January 13th. Great. Let's catch up next week. Make it interpersonal. Don't follow up on mundane, boring stuff. No one cares about interest rates. They care about themselves. They care about relationships. But what if you don't have that relationship with them yet? Well, that's the point. You're building it, right? So every time you talk to them, you're adding or subtracting from that relationship. So, again, they say the key to anyone's heart is through food. Find out what their favorite food is and then ask them to go get lunch on you. Hey, Joe, you like tacos? Yeah, me too. Great. Let's go grab some tacos Tuesday and talk. The other thing I'd recommend you guys all doing, go, John, real quick, John, we do every Wednesday at 12 Eastern time. Locked in. I think I'll be 90 years old still doing these. The other thing people don't do is go to open houses, introduce yourself to listing agents. Don't bring flyers. That's a bunch of shit. It's a waste of time. They all get thrown out. Go and shake hands with listing agents, say hello, let your immediate market know who you are. Do not tell them to give you business. Do not expect them to give you business. It's not going to happen overnight. Again, there are people that have been doing this a lot longer, a lot more savvy, and with unlimited budgets that you're going up against. Focus on yourself and focus on the people who will, not who won't. And do not give up, but you have to be consistent with it. Anybody else? John, great question, by the way. Hopefully you can attend all of them. Who hasn't asked a question on here? Let's see. Jackie, do you have any more questions? Robert, Brian, Scott, Nicole Ruiz, I saw your comment above. Look, it is tough. And here's what I'll say, it is tough. You need to adapt your life and your routine to train yourself to get through the tough times, right? A lot of people think, I'm gonna use this as an example. A lot of people think the mortgage business should be a sprint. Hey, let's race up the block. Hey, let's race up the street. Let's race the first base. The mortgage business is a marathon, right? I hate running the mile. 20% into the mile, I am I'm done. I'm not running this mile, right? But if you tell me I have to run sprints, I can run sprints all day long. But the mortgage business is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and you need to treat it and pace yourself to expect it to be a marathon. Jackie, I love the feedback. I'm glad you'll be back next week. I try to answer it as much as best as possible. Like I said, everyone has questions that are for everybody, and everyone also has questions that are individual to themselves. I think everyone struggles with one thing different each day. Yesterday it might have been, rates went up too high. Today might be, you had an appraisal issue. Tomorrow might be, you have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. But the key is asking the questions so I can answer them, and hopefully that will give you some peace of mind or clarity or insight on how I've gotten through all those different struggles and challenges, should say. Thanks, Al, again for attending. I think this is your first time here, right, Al? What are your thoughts on marketing material to give? Nothing. I give nothing. here's the problem, right? I mean, realtors treat mortgage people like they're their puppy dogs and want to have them on leashes, right? You can never do enough. So like before you know it, you're doing 800 open house flyers, paying, sponsoring all this stuff, and then they just look at you as like a marketer, right? If you want to run a marketing company, go run a marketing company. Now, not to say that I didn't try everything. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars wasted on people. So I think you gotta be strategic about it. Marketing material, I think in today's day and age, do digital stuff where you're marketing to everybody. Try and get to the consumer first. But as far as if you get to the consumer first, you could then walk into a real estate office, refer your consumer, and then now all of a sudden you just gave the realtor office a reason to do business with you. So I would market for free digitally, create your own content, and get people to bite that way. And then you take that pre-approved client, you put them on a leash, and you walk into the real estate office and hand them to a realtor you want to do business with. That's what I would do. John, fastest way to gain knowledge needed to be confident to speak to a realtor because there is so much. It's a good question. Hard to answer without knowing more detail and context about yourself and your market. If I had to pick the one thing right now, as of this second, I would say how quickly you can close a deal, right? I just closed the deal in Florida back in November in 9 calendar days. An FHA purchase with a 592 credit score. I closed it in 9 days. So like, if your company that you work for has the ability to legally and quickly and does close a deal in 10 days or under, market that and give them that challenge. Like, hey, I can close a deal in 10 days. So give me a shot. That's what I think would be the number one approach in today's market is speed, and also controlling the appraisal management company, making sure that, your appraisal management company is, handling deals to local appraisers that not only know the market, but can also turn around the appraisal very, very quickly. I think that's a great way to get realtors to listen to you. Nicole Ruiz, this question is as a newbie. How do you go about answering questions to clients that you're unsure of? I always go to get answer from someone that knows, but it takes time. And I feel like I could be missing out because I wasn't quick enough to get them the correct answer. It's a really good question. Again, one-on-one advice on this would be, maybe you write down the most frequently asked questions that you get, make a little branded pamphlet with your information on it. And whenever you get a new client, you email or text them over like some frequently asked questions to kind of like get those questions answered. Look, questions aren't easy, right? And if you're brand new and you don't know the answers, it kind of stinks. So I would use the approach that we spoke about earlier, like, hey, I'm not fully sure of this question yet, or getting you this answer. Let me get you the right answer. And then it's, a combination of you holding the person you're going to, which is probably management, responsible and accountable for getting you the answer back immediately. That's also why I do what I do. I have a service where it's a flat monthly fee where you have unlimited access to me to ask any question you want via text message or email. Phone is extra, calls are extra, but like if you have a question, you text, I reply immediately. For anybody that's text or emailed me, I reply literally within the second, 24/7, as long as I'm not sleeping. And that's what you need. As a new loan officer starting out, your support system has to be literally the best in the business. Otherwise, you might not be aligned with the right company or aligned with the right, goals for yourself. So having access to somebody that not only responds quickly, but has the right answer, that's critical to early success. So you don't, have that fish get off the hook once you've caught them. I hope that answered your question. You're welcome. Anybody else? Questions, guys? Guys, these are great. I could sit here all day and answer these questions. I literally have my next call at 3 o'clock. So if you guys have any questions that we haven't touched on yet, please be sure to ask. Give it like another minute. And if nobody asks, then we will close up today's call, which best call by far, And again, guys, look, I talk about consistency and I don't just like, tell you guys things and do different. Like right now, like these calls are building momentum, right? Every week we're growing and it's consistent, it's routine, right? This is how you build something successful. And your routine, what you do, is equally as important for doing the same thing, same time, every day, every other day, once a week, every Wednesday, every Tuesday, every Saturday, whatever it is. Like the way you become successful is through the routine that you personally create and develop.
So do you
Go ahead.
create a routine when it comes to your social media postings also? You said you're always posting, or is it just whenever the feeling hits you?
It's whenever the feeling hits me that I believe I have something valuable.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people make a mistake by creating, curated content prior, because then it might not be irrelevant. It might not be relevant or valuable to the market at the point that you post it.
And are your primary platforms Facebook, Instagram?
So Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube. Yeah,
Okay.
YouTube's great, easy, free. People love videos. I love it. And then Zoom. I do a lot of Zoom too.
And when you're doing videos, I've heard different thoughts on this. Some say, do a quick 2 minute. Others say, if you
Too
got
long.
something to say it as long as you want to say it. But
Too long. Yeah, I think you gotta get your message across within 15 seconds. But my YouTube channel is actually like recorded podcasts. If I do like an educational video, you can see them. I think on that YouTube, it's like if you search Jeff Van Note, it should come up. You can see like little videos I do like under 10 minutes. Or actually, you know what? On the Rivera financing site, you can see videos that I did from an education standpoint. So you might want to do like a teaser, but then like, hey, do you want to learn about credit and what your credit score is? And then like do a video around that. But your post on social media, your video post on social media should be like 15 seconds or less.
Okay.
Darlene, just so you know, do we need a new Zoom link? Every week there's a new Zoom link because it's a new course and class. So yes, I'm like the least technology friendly human being in this world probably. So eventually it will be like a recurring call. But when I keep changing the courses up, it gives me a new link. So once I figure out how to have like a master locked in Zoom link, it will be the same link down the road. And I'll let everyone know when that becomes available, when I figure it out. Sorry to cut you off, Mike.
Oh, no worries.
But yeah, so what I would say is, guys, go to my content, go to my Instagram, go to the YouTube, see everything that I do and have done, and then like formulate your own game plan from there. And there's nothing wrong, right? Like whatever you do, doing something in this is better than nothing. Some content is better than no content. So just go out there and do what you guys have to do. And yeah, I'm rooting for all you guys. I appreciate you guys all taking the time out to hop on this call. We're an hour and 18 minutes in, and like I said, I feel like we're just getting started. So. Does anybody have any questions before we close up? Just so you know, at least one of your emails about this says 12 PST. That's interesting. Do you know what email that comes from? That might come from the automated email reply from that platform. I'll definitely look into that if it does say 12 PST. Scott, thanks for that tip. Do you have any questions? I don't know if I saw you ask any questions. Anything I can help you with or answer for you? Anybody? No?
No, and again,
Right.
I was late. So just to clarify, you'll be sending out a link. I'm going to shoot you an email, but you'll send out a link for the full recording so I can see what I missed or hear what I missed.
Absolutely. Yep.
Cool.
So once it becomes available on the cloud, I'll email that link out along with the PowerPoint presentation. And like I said, I'm very accessible. So whatever you guys need, let me know. Again, really appreciate you guys. Mike, rooting for you. I hope you implement some of the stuff we talked about sooner rather than later. And remember, like try and create those easy wins. You want to finish the day with a win. You do not want to finish the day with a loss, right? So make sure whatever you do, put yourself in a position to win. And that win might even be, hey, I want to, have a protein shake every night before I go to bed. And make sure you do that because that way you went to bed with a win and that momentum usually carries over to the next day. That's one thing that I've learned.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Mike, proud of you. Keep going. Don't get you only 3 months in. You're brand new. Like I said, chalk the past 3 months up as a loss. Move forward. It matters what you do today and here on out, not about the past 90 days.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great one.
See ya.